You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome to this edition of Dufferin Life. I'm your host, Teena Avery. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are in the holiday season, and I know you already know that. And you might see a familiar face beside me and suddenly take hints as to what we're doing. Shirley Brennan from the Christmas Tree Ontario. Wait, I did it. You go.
The Christmas Tree Farmers of Ontario.
There we go. I thought I had it. I was going to say foundation in there somewhere. I have no idea why. But thank you so much for coming back on the show. We are going to do some wreath decorating. But before we get started on all that, where you get to make fun of me for my lack of crafty abilities, we're going to talk a little bit about the wreath itself. Yep. So this wreath looks like it's made with many different types.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So it is from an Ontario grower. Mm-hmm. And so it has white pine, which is the long, soft pine needles. Mm-hmm. Then we have some Fraser fir in there, which are nice, soft needles. And then at the back, we have white cedar.
Okay.
And all of this is grown in Ontario.
That's absolutely amazing. And let's talk about the actual process of putting a wreath together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to say that they look like all individual pieces that you've actually strung together on a ring, which I know you're going to look at me and go, well, of course it is, Teena. But we want to talk a little bit about the process of how you do this and how you decide what goes where and that sort of thing.
So, different farms have different methods. Mm-hmm. So there is two key methods, and that's either you wrap it with wire, each bunch, or this one has a ring that has points, and you tap down the points. So that's the back of your wreath. You'll see the points. Yeah. So you gather your bundle of mixed greens, mm-hmm. and you want the cedar at the back because it lays flat.
Okay.
And it's a little bit more
it's kind of got a finishing pattern to it. Like it's got that top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then in the center you will have your Fraser, mm-hmm. and then sprigs of. In this case, they've put sprigs of white pine in there.
Okay.
Just to add some. Some people will put dogwood in it. Some people will put a different juniper in it just to give it a different texture.
Okay, so how long will a wreath live? Because I mean, when we're talking trees, which we're not going to talk about just yet, but when we're talking trees, mm-hmm. obviously there's care to keep the tree going.
Yep.
So with a wreath like this, obviously there's no way to keep it going, right?
Yep.
So it would just last as long as it lasts?
So here's the thing. If you're going to put a wreath in the house, you want to mist it with water.
Okay.
So every few days you want to mist it. We've had damp weather and mm-hmm. lots of rain, so the ones that are staying outside are getting that water. Okay. When it freezes, it will freeze this in place. Mm-hmm. So it's not uncommon that I see wreaths in May that are just starting to go brown or dry out. It all depends on the weather and where they are in, like, are they on a door that has the wind and the elements hitting mm-hmm. it, or is it more closed in?
Okay, so if it's more closed in, should you be spraying it? Like I think of my front porch, it's fairly far in. I mean, unless we get one of those crazy rains where the rain's coming in sideways or anything like that, would it be something that I would mist, or would I just leave it to the elements?
If it's outside, leave it to the elements, because it's going to get cold, it's going to get warm. If the sun is shining on that door, mm-hmm. that's when you might want to mist it to just keep it bright.
Okay, wonderful. So, I mean, with the concept of the fact that it could last a lot longer than through the holiday season, you could take it down and redecorate it for something in the new year, perhaps. Or
you could.
I'm just saying.
You could. Or a lot of people will use, and you can see our different ribbons, and mm-hmm. we've got tons of ribbon, but a lot of people will use like a winter ribbon as opposed to, say, a real Christmassy holiday one. Mm-hmm. And so then they just leave it up till February or what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a beautiful wreath. Thank you so much for bringing it in.
You're welcome.
Is gorgeous. Okay, so let's start talking about decorating. Where does one begin? Because we all know I'm not crafty. I'm willing to admit it. So where do we begin?
Okay, so right away, and as you and I have been talking, you've been playing with me, and that's great because you want to start by fluffing it up.
Okay.
Right? Because as these get shipped, they kind of sit on
They
top
flatten,
of each other.
yeah.
So you want to have that fluff. And then what you want to do is you want to create an idea of, do I want a bow? Do I not want a bow? Is my bow going to be my focal point, or is something else going to be my focal point?
Okay.
Is my bow going to be on the side, the top, or the bottom? So there's lots of things, but
Okay.
it's playing around with it, right?
Right. Right. We've got several types of ribbon here. So let's start with there, because I'm going to say, in my opinion, that the bow should be at the top and be the focal point kind of coming down. And then that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yep.
That's what we're going to go with. Okay.
So then when you have your bow, do you want, because we use a wired ribbon, so it just holds its shape, do you want 2 tails or 3 tails?
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend?
I like 2.
Okay.
The third one just kind of sits in the center.
Okay.
I like the 2.
Okay, so 2 tails it is.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So I've pre-picked my favorite
Yes.
bow. This is absolutely gorgeous with the Christmas trees, and I'm not going with, I think it's, I seen it in a bin of bows and it just spoke to me. So I just love it, and I love the trees. So that's what we're going to go with. So you're going to talk me through doing the bow, because I don't know what you're doing, and I would like to know.
Okay.
And you would like to know.
So it is quite easy to make a bow,
Okay.
but it takes some dexterity. So
Okay.
you're going to just make a small loop that you can put your thumb in, and then you're going to twist. So you always want your pattern looking at you.
Okay.
Okay? And then you make a small loop,
Okay.
and then you twist. And then you make a small loop. So you're making a small loop on each end.
Okay.
Okay? So you're going back and forth with twisting.
Okay. I can see where that requires some skill that I possibly do not possess, which is why we bring Shirley on the show, so she can do this for me, and I can go, look at the beautiful bow I made. But you all know that I'm not telling the truth about that.
Well, and here's the thing. I always tell people when they make a wreath or they come to a wreath party or whatever, lie and tell people that you made the bow, like even if I made the bow for you, because it is nice to be able to say, hey.
And I mean, there are some beautiful ribbons like that you could choose from that are not like, as you said, like holiday focused, that can stay a little bit longer. Like I do love the sparkle. I mean, we all know I'm all into sparkle. I did have my eye on this one as well, which is obviously very holiday focused. But there's all different widths and things as well, right? Like I see some beautiful ones, and there's some smaller ones here too, and there are some really pretty ribbons that you can get, I'm sure, from all over. But yeah, like I mean, even the smaller ones. Would you use something like this for a main bow?
What I would do is an accent.
An accent,
so
okay.
I might have that coming down in amongst the branches.
Okay.
As opposed to
Being like a big
being
bow.
the bow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. When I first started 15 some years ago in the industry, I would never have seen a pastel.
Okay.
Right?
You're right.
And then I remember someone had said to me, can you make me a pink decorated wreath, because my daughter loves pink and she's away at university, and when she comes home I want a surprise. And I'm like, pink? So now there is no colors.
Okay.
Right? People will say, I'd like a traditional, and that's why I brought the reds and the whites and everything. And people want the traditional colors, and that's great.
Yes.
But be as creative as you want. Like,
well, I mean, there are people that have pink Christmas trees or white Christmas trees with pink decorations, or all blue. Like, there's so many. Like, I'm a multicolor human when it comes to my tree.
Okay.
And I think that just comes from growing up. We just loved having all of the different colored lights. So my tree is focused with a lot of different lights, a lot of different colors. There's no theme. Whereas now you see so many, like, I'm doing gold and red, or I'm doing silver and blue, or whatever it happens to do. But my tree is just like splat.
Yes. Mine
color,
too.
yeah.
Mine too. And it's funny because we had this conversation, my husband and I, just this week. We were talking about, people change their colors all the time. That is not me.
Right.
I'm that person that has, and I tie it to memories, and that's the nice thing about our industry. Whether you have a real tree or whether you have a real wreath, is having those memories of what is it that really sinks to you for your tradition.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's everything. There's no one way to do things.
That's absolutely true. We only, believe it or not, we only have a few minutes left. So I should probably put some decorations on here, right? So I should snip these off, yes?
Yeah, snip some of them off.
Okay. Or do I just use this?
You can use the whole. We can snip some of this off.
Okay.
And then, so here, there. And then you could use as much of it or as little of it as you would like.
Okay. I'm like, do I put like a big gold accent at the bottom? I do eventually get there when it comes to crafting things, but it takes me so long to
So let's say this is our top.
Okay.
So that we're working, I'll put the bow here.
Okay.
And then because that way we're not reaching and being awkward.
Okay, so I am going to just kind of put some pieces in so that we kind of have a finished product when we're all said and done. And I'm going to spread the gold around because I do love the gold that's on that ribbon there. All right. So I'm just literally wrapping this around the branches for now. And I think, given the opportunity, probably after the show, we'll spend a little bit more time and make it look a little bit better than what I'm doing right now. But yeah.
Well, and it's having that time. Some people whip it up in no time, and it's like the perfect thing. And then there's other people that are their creativity is a little bit slower coming.
I was going to say yes, like Teena, but literally, I mean, I've gone to painting classes and things like that, and I get so frustrated during the whole process. But by the time it's all said and done, I've pulled it together. But I find it very challenging. So there's lots of different things that you can put on these wreaths. Like there's so many different types of decorations, and perfect. So there, I'm going to.
So as you're doing that, I'm just going to tie your bow on.
Okay,
so
perfect.
That if you pick it up, not everything's just going to fall.
Well, this one might, but yeah. So maybe we won't pick it up. We'll let our talented people in the studio have a good boo at it without me having to pick it up.
Okay. Just going to reach around because again, you just want to secure that. There's a nice long wire here on this, and then it just secures around it.
What a beautiful bow! So talented.
and you know what? It is quite easy. It's important to have that wire.
Yes.
So that if you don't have wired ribbon, it is a little bit more harder.
Right.
And complicated to make it.
Right. Okay. So if I'm just going to take a, we've got about a minute left, so I'm just literally going to, I don't know what I'm doing, so pull some of it off. Okay.
Here.
I'm going to,
That's okay. I have little cutters here.
This is perfect.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll get you to do this one too at the same time.
Yeah.
And then we'll just throw a couple of these in, and
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. We're just, so I'm just whipping stuff in and out here, but I mean, obviously, when you're doing yours, and, maybe invite some friends over and get a couple of them and do it all at the same time.
Yeah, okay. And take the time, have some fun, and enjoy having that greenery from Ontario.
I'm going to tell you, it does smell divine in here, just from the sense coming from the wreath itself. But I think we definitely, we're going to come right back. We're going to talk about Christmas trees, and then I'll show you what I've done. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
They've reached the summit! Back-to-back Stanley Cup victories.
Greatness.
And a new legacy begins!
Absolutely amazing.
It has happened in Vegas.
It's not a destination.
and lightning has struck twice.
It is a continuous journey that never ends.
These are the moments you dream of. Stanley Cup champions.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to this edition of Dufferin Life. Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just tuning in, as always, you're tuning in at a great time. Well, the first half of the show, we talked about wreaths, and I'm going to show you where we finished off. We didn't, in the short amount of time that we had, I think we did a beautiful job putting the wreaths together and getting everything on there. And I've added some birds, and well, Shirley added some birds. I moved a few things around. But I think all in all, I mean, it looks beautiful. You know, I'm probably going to go home and add a few more, like a little bit more red, and we're going to be good to go to hang this on my door, which I'm very excited about. But I'm going to move it over here. All right. And we're going to start this edition. We're talking about Christmas trees. So I'm going to be honest. I know I'm standing beside Shirley. She's going to slap me later, but I have an artificial tree. I always have. I grew up with artificial trees. And then when I was about 17, I said to my parents, like, come on, like, I've never had a real tree. Let's get a real tree. So we had a real tree. The needles were falling out. It was really getting on my nerves. I'm like, we're not going to do that anymore because we had never had a real tree. So I think we didn't. I don't know if we didn't water it, like whatever it was. It was beautiful. I love the smell. I love having it. But I am an artificial tree girl, and my kids don't want me to change that now at this point because that's the way they grew up as well. But we're going to talk about the different types of trees, maybe what works best in your home, and how to care for them, and because there is an art to it, I think.
Yep, there is. So first off, I've brought 4 or 5 different types.
Okay.
So typically you wouldn't see a cedar as a Christmas tree, but I did bring it in so that there's always an opportunity for people to see different types. And when I started, I didn't know the difference between these trees.
Okay.
So in 15 years, I've learned the difference. And they're not just evergreens. So, so let's just put the cedar down, and we'll focus on these. Typically would be the trees that you see.
Okay.
So this one here is a white spruce.
Okay.
And if you feel it, the needles have a little bit of a
prickle to them, but not a lot.
No.
No.
So it is a spruce, so it's got a stronger scent. It also does not retain its needles as well as others.
Okay.
So
this is probably what we had.
Yes. Well, and you know
never
what?
know.
Way back then, and I'm not dating
Oh
you.
no, I was just gonna say, in the olden days,
it would have been spruce or pine.
Okay.
Right. So then, this is my favorite tree.
Okay.
Though. So if I get to choose the tree in my family, we get a spruce tree.
I would think that they would let you choose just because you're the lady that knows everything about trees.
No.
No.
No, my kids choose. And even with them not living at home now, they still want to choose. And then I have Christmas tree farmers that will say to me, Shirley, come and get a tree. And it's never a spruce tree, but if I get to go on my own.
It does. Okay.
So it does have a stronger. Now, some people will get a blue spruce, which I do not have, and those are really sharp needles.
Okay.
And they have a blue tinge.
Yes.
And
they are beautiful.
They are typically a landscape tree.
Okay.
But people do put them in. It is a very unique person that will get a blue spruce.
Okay.
But I've been told that the blue spruce with lights on it is just amazing.
I mean, I can see that. Like, I can definitely see that because it does have a beautiful look to it. And I'm saying this because I've had somebody on before from one of the tree farms come on a few years ago and talk to me, and I think they had one there, and I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that is a spruce.
Okay.
And then we have the pine. Now, in this case, I brought a white pine.
Okay.
A white pine is softer needles. And so they're the long needle. So anything that has a long needle is typically a pine tree.
Okay.
The white pine is softer, so it's used in urns. And some people will get a really nice shaped one for a Christmas tree. But keep in mind it's So to put ornaments on, it doesn't have the
solid strength of it. Yeah. They are beautiful though, and you do see them in a lot of Christmas urns.
Yes.
Which maybe we'll do next year.
Yeah.
We'll do some urns and to kind of mix it up a little bit, or go out and visit a tree farm. But I will say that the soft needles are beautiful.
Yes.
I do love them.
Yes.
It almost looks like a Charlie Brown tree, like as if you were to put things on it too heavy, it would just fall.
Yeah. Speaking of the Charlie Brown tree, the perfect tree is beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely.
So somebody may call it a Charlie Brown tree, and somebody else thinks it's the most gorgeous.
Listen, I love the Charlie Brown tree. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I can see where because some of the ornaments that they make now are either huge or so very, very heavy that you wouldn't be able to put them on something like this. But I do love this.
Yeah, for sure. So next I brought 2 different types of fir trees.
Okay.
So this is a balsam fir, and this is a Fraser fir.
Okay.
So if you look at the needles on the Fraser fir, they're rounded.
Okay.
And they're almost like they are waxy. So
Okay.
it's almost like they've got a plastic to them.
Oh yeah.
Right?
They could almost pass as an artificial treat, like just
Almost.
Not even close. I was just teasing. I knew I'd get a reaction. I've had Shirley on the show a couple times. I know how to push her buttons. I'm joking, of course. Yes.
So the Fraser fir is the high in demand.
Okay.
Everybody wants a Fraser fir.
Okay.
And the reason is because they retain their needles the best.
Okay.
But they take the longest to grow, and not every farm can grow them. That's why you see a lot of farms have to bring them in from other areas.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense.
Quebec is the biggest producer of Fraser fir trees in Canada.
Learn something new every day. Yeah.
So now we have a balsam fir.
Okay.
And a balsam fir, again, is soft needles. It does retain its needles. If you look, they're longer and they're flat.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So
now
you've got the softness. And in some balsam firs, if you look at underneath, and this one's not showing it too much, you will see a blue tinge.
Okay.
So some people will say to me, oh, I got a blue spruce and it was the softest needles. And I'm like, yeah, I got a balsam fir and it had a blue tinge, but okay.
We don't all have Shirley beside us when we're picking the trees, and we just say what we, Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Here's the thing. Not everybody can remember what tree they got last year.
Yes.
And that's why I talk about get the tree that really talks to you. Picking a real tree is a very personal thing.
Yes.
People get real trees, and it's interesting that you had a real tree story because if you think back when we were in school and we had to write a story about our Christmas memory, nobody talks about Dad going up into the attic and pulling down the box. They talk about, even you being an artificial girl, you talked about that real tree story.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I always say, we're the real hallmark of Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, check out all of the local tree farms. They have sleigh rides. You can take a sled and go out and cut your own tree, bring it down, or you just go for this beautiful sleigh ride and enjoy the atmosphere and make it a real family affair, or a couple's, or if you're doing it on your own, why not go on a sleigh ride and enjoy the whole procedure? Like, have an experience, make it an experience. So please do check out all of our local tree farms and enjoy your experience and picking the tree that speaks to you.
Yeah, and on our website, christmastrees.on.ca, we have a Harvest Your Own site, so it lists all the farms and what they offer.
Oh, okay.
So find a farm that resonates with you. Enjoy that time with your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fun for all ages, honestly.
It is.
Don't miss out on it. Actually, the funny thing is, I know we're talking about trees, but I was looking up all the different tree farms before, and we were talking about doing the segment, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a tree farm that after Christmas, after you've got your tree, after you've done all that, you can go on sleigh rides. You can still just the beauty of being out in the evening, dressed for the weather, going on a sleigh ride, having some hot chocolate, hot apple cider, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to do it this year, even if I'm by myself. I'm going to do it, for sure. I think it's so fun.
If we have a quick moment, how do you take care of your tree? When you bring your tree home, even though it's been cut, whether you've freshly cut it or you bought it pre-cut, you want to make a fresh cut again before you put in in water. So if you're bringing it home and you're not putting it up that day, then leave it outside in the cool elements, but not where it's getting direct sunlight or wind or snow or rain. And then bring it in, make that fresh cut, and put it in water. And never let the bottom of the trunk go above the water level.
Okay.
So water, water, water.
Absolutely. So typically, if we're talking about one of these two that would normally be a tree, like you're watering it how often? Like, are you just watching as it goes down and adding water? Are you watering it every couple days?
So well, my coffee is brewing in the morning. I top up the tree.
Okay.
Right, so that I never have that risk.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. If the water level goes below the trunk, then that's when it starts to dry out. And we always want it to be safety.
Yeah.
So just top it up as you're waiting for your coffee or your tea or whatever your beverage is.
That makes perfect sense. And then you're kind of always on top of it. It becomes a routine. You know, like feeding your pets and doing all the things that you do in the morning before you go to work or go to enjoy your day, whatever you happen to be doing, for sure.
And they will last. A spruce tree doesn't last as long, although I can, if I put a tree up this weekend, a spruce tree, I can make it last till the end of January because I water it.
Right.
Right? It's the same with the fir trees, the same thing. Just take care of it like you would any other plant.
Yes. Which is probably reason number 332 why Teena doesn't have trees, because plants don't do well in my home.
Okay.
But I mean, I could remember I mean, I'm not saying I won't do it, because eventually this tree that I have that is now 26 years old, eventually I'm going to move on, and maybe that's what I'll do, is start making a new tradition in my house with getting a real tree. Well,
and here's the thing too, we have all sizes, right? No longer is it the big, tall, round trees. Our houses are built differently.
Yeah.
So there's the thin ones and the
really thick ones, and then
ones. There's tabletop ones. Like, there's something for everyone. So find it. Enjoy picking your tree, and enjoy it. Like the scent of.
I was just about to talk about the scent. Like, I'm in heaven right now. Like, I love all the smells that are coming from these branches.
Well, and there's a study out right now from a university in the States about the scent of walking in a Christmas tree farm and what it does for mental health. So there's so many aspects. Not only going to a farm, getting a tree, enjoying that, but it's also for your mental health. So there's so many aspects of it that's good for us.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, and I'm all about the experience, but I mean, that's an added bonus. I mean, I think if you're anywhere in nature, there's such a mental health aspect to it, to just be in the quiet, and it might not even be that quiet, but just to be outside of your element and out in the wilderness, just outside in general. There's a beautiful thing about it. So we've learned a lot about what we should do and what we should look for when we're picking a real tree to bring home for the holiday season. I want to thank you so much for joining us again.
Oh, thank you for having us. We always love to come and talk trees.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Today, I helped a parent feed their family by connecting them to a food program. Today, I helped someone connect with mental health supports.
Today, I helped